Hey there, kids. It's me again, Joseph, your host. Welcome back to the Catechism for Kids. On August 22nd, the Church honors 3 early Christian martyrs who gave their lives for Jesus. They are Saint Timothy, Saint Hippolytus, and Saint Symphorian. Let's learn about them. Saints Timothy, Hippolytus, and Symphorian each lived in different parts of the Roman world, but they are remembered together on August 22nd. They all gave their lives for Jesus during times of persecution. Each one stood firm in faith, even when facing death. They are honored for their courage and trust in God. Timothy is sometimes called Timotheus, especially in older church writings. Hippolytus has a few stories connected to his name. Some say he was a priest, others say he was a soldier. Symphorian is sometimes remembered with the name Symphorianus, though most often he is just called Symphorian. Even though they lived in different places, Rome, Gaul, and Antioch, the Church remembers them together. They remind us that Christians have suffered and stayed strong in many lands and times. Their stories were passed down because people were inspired by how they lived and died. They are not grouped together because they knew each other, but because their witness is similar. They all refused to worship false gods, all chose Christ even when it cost them their lives. That shared witness made the Church set aside a single day to remember them. Their feast day is August 22nd in the Roman Martyrology. On that day, their names are read in the prayers of the Church. Many people may not know them well, but their lives still speak clearly. Timothy came from the city of Antioch, a place where Christianity had grown strong. He was a preacher who believed in sharing the message of Jesus with everyone. He left Antioch and went to Rome, which was dangerous for Christians at the time. Rome was the heart of the empire, full of people and full of risk. Christians there were often arrested and killed. Still, Timothy stayed in the city for over a year, preaching and teaching about Jesus. He was not afraid to speak the truth, even when it was unpopular. After some time, Timothy was arrested. The rulers told him to stop preaching. They asked him to offer sacrifice to the Roman gods. If he did, they would spare his life. But he refused. He would not deny Christ, no matter the cost. Because of this, he was tortured. The leaders tried to scare him into changing his mind, but Timothy stayed strong. He would not give in. In the end, he was beheaded. His witness gave courage to other Christians in Rome. People told his story and honored his memory. He became known as Saint Timothy of Antioch, a man who brought the gospel to the capital of the empire and gave his life for it. Hippolytus is a saint with more than one story. Some say he was a Roman soldier who guarded Christian prisoners. Others say he was a priest and teacher who led a group of believers. Whatever the details, all the stories agree that he died for his faith. One tradition says he was in charge of guarding another martyr, St. Lawrence. When Hippolytus saw Lawrence's faith, he was moved and became a Christian himself. This led to his own arrest and death. Another version says Hippolytus was a priest who had some disagreements in the church, but came back to full unity before his death. In this version, he was arrested during a time of persecution and died as a faithful Christian. His death was cruel. He was tied to wild horses and they were driven in opposite directions until his body was torn apart. This was meant to scare other Christians, but instead, it showed how far believers would go to stay true to Christ. Early Christians remembered Hippolytus as a brave man. His name was included in lists of martyrs. He became known in both the Eastern and Western churches. Some churches even have writings that are linked to his name. Though we may not know every detail for sure, what matters most is that Hippolytus gave his life for Jesus. He did not run or hide. He stayed faithful to the end. Symphorian lived in the town of Autun, in what is now France. He was a young Christian, living in a city where people worshipped idols. One day the whole town gathered for a pagan festival to honor a false goddess. Symphorian would not take part. He refused to bow down to the idol. He would not pretend to believe in a false god, even to save himself. The people were angry, and he was arrested. The leaders gave him a chance to change his mind, but Symphorian said no. He was put in prison. His faith did not weaken. He said that Jesus Christ was the only true king. He would not give that up, no matter what happened to him. As he was led out to be killed, his mother called out to him from the crowd. She said, my son, remember the living God. Be brave and strong. Your reward will be with Christ." Her words stayed in the memory of the church. Symphorian was beheaded. He was young, but he was faithful. His courage gave hope to other believers. They told his story for years. His mother's words were remembered too, showing how the faith of parents can help shape the faith of children. The Roman Empire was powerful and full of danger for Christians. People were often forced to worship idols. If they refused, they could lose everything, even their lives. Many people gave in, but some stayed strong. Saints like Timothy, Hippolytus, and Symphorian are remembered because they did not give in. Martyrdom was not quick or easy. It meant being rejected, arrested, and often tortured. Some were killed in public to scare others. But instead of stopping the church, these deaths made the faith grow stronger. People saw the courage of the martyrs and were moved. They saw that the love of Christ was worth more than safety or comfort, and wanted that same strength in their own lives. The stories of Timothy, Hippolytus, and Symphorian were shared from place to place. They became examples of what it looks like to live and die for something true. The church remembered their names, told their stories, and passed them on. Their witness helped shape the early church. Their deaths were not the end. They became seeds of faith that helped others grow stronger. Their lives show that faith is not just words, it is a way of living, and sometimes a way of dying. Timothy, Hippolytus, and Symphorian were remembered as saints not long after their deaths. In the early church, martyrs were honored right away. People prayed at their tombs and told their stories during worship. They believed these men were now with Christ in heaven. The church later added them to the Roman Martyrology. This is the official list of saints remembered each day in the church's prayers. Their shared feast day is August 22nd. On this day, the church remembers their witness and gives thanks for their example. Each of them is honored in different places. Symphorian is especially remembered in Autun, France. Hippolytus has churches named after him in Italy and other countries. Timothy is known in both Rome and Antioch. They are not just saints of the past, they are saints for all generations. Their faith speaks to anyone who feels alone, afraid, or pressured to give up. They show that it is possible to stay strong. The world they lived in was full of fear and power, but they chose faith and truth. The church honors them not because they were perfect, but because they were faithful. Their names are still spoken, and their courage is still remembered. Saints Timothy, Hippolytus, and Symphorian remind us that faith is not always easy. They lived in a time when following Jesus could get you killed. Still, they did not turn back. They stayed strong even when facing death. Their stories help us think about what it means to really trust God. Each of them had the chance to walk away. They were given chances to save their lives by giving in. But they didn't do it. They chose truth over comfort. That kind of strength can help us when we feel weak or afraid to live out our beliefs. They also show that faith comes in many forms. Timothy was a preacher. Hippolytus may have been a soldier or a priest. Symphorian was a young man from a small town. What they had in common was their love for Christ and their courage to live it out. We may not face death for our faith, but we still have hard choices. We are asked to be honest, kind, and faithful, even when others are not. These saints show us that we can be brave, even when the world around us says to give up. And their faith is a good example for us. Even if other people make fun of us or get mad at us because we are Christians, we should stay strong and not give up our faith. What do you think? What can we learn from these holy martyrs? Can you think of a time when you had to be strong because of your faith? That's all for now. Remember, you can be a hero of the faith too, no matter how old you are. Thank you for watching. And please like and share this video with your friends. See you next time, and God bless you always.